I very much hope that the startups felt that they were surrounded by a system of mentoring that brought them through really what is a very arduous process.
The main benefit for me was twofold. One, just opening my eyes to the startup world, because at the end of the day I'm a freelance journalist who had an idea, who set it up, but wasn't really in the startup kind of environment. Now I've got a feel for that. It's been fantastic from that point of view. Secondly, being a journalist and having a media enterprise that I have, I suppose getting in there into the Irish Times and a big media organisation with it is huge as well.
To begin with, let me take you to the Monastery Field in Clifton. It's in the middle of nowhere. It is the most isolated rugby club in Ireland, and it is a beautiful place to watch a rugby match. The weather is almost never like that because rugby's played in winter. And I'll never forget it. 120 people watching the game, no chance of winning it. Beautiful line out, a switch move in the centre that didn't belong on any pitch outside of a professional pitch. And Michael Aspel scored here. It was getting dark because Corinthians had arrived late for the game. And we barely could see it. But the place went mental. The clubhouse afterwards was insane. Let me just tell you that that's one of thousands of stories like that every year. And I felt there had to be a place to bring them all together. Knockon.ie every Monday morning is the virtual clubhouse for all rugby fans to come on and talk about their Connemara story from the weekend. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Knockon.ie.
Can you talk more about where you think money comes from eventually?
Yeah, I think it has to be multiple revenue streams, otherwise it's not going to work in one area. So yeah, sure, website advertising for a company like My Club Finance makes perfect sense for them. But I think the big brand partners are going to be key, because I think brand association with hyper-local communities is going to be very interesting for them, and that's what we have.
Rob, is the company built on the software that you developed, or is it the community?
It's built on the community, and I guess it's built on my community, my ability to gather communities and understand what really makes them tick. So it's not built on the software. The software is just a website, but we bring them together because we produce content that really appeals to them.
Well, last Saturday we launched the Irish Times Amateur Photographer of the Year Awards, and we got Canon on board as a sponsor. It's been phenomenally successful.
It turns out that 66% of Irish Times readers own one of those big DSLR cameras. And that's a bit of a signal that you're interested in photography. And it turns out that 35% of those guys want to join or want to take part in this competition. They've expressed an interest in taking part in this competition. That's nearly 65,000 people. And it turns out that 49% of these guys would be interested in joining an Irish Times camera club. And that's nearly 90,000 people. So this is a massive community out there that wants to engage with the Irish Times, has the ability to produce great content, and spends shed loads of money. And this is a worldwide community that spends in excess of $30 billion on their hobby each year. So what we do is we introduce PicTurk into this ecosystem. We connect the two together. So we've basically provided a platform for photographers to run the photography competitions that they want to run. And there's over 500,000 of these each year. And they go from the tiny little ones in camera clubs, the monthly competitions, right the way through to regional, national, salons, awards, etc., etc. And for that, we start making some money.
How do you re-engage and turn that 90k into 900k?
Well, what's really interesting is there's no reason why next year you couldn't internationalise this experience. If we got together as a group and went into the gathering with this proposition, we could internationalise this awards. If you were looking at the numbers on that, you would be talking about something to the tune of €500,000.
Good, a bit tired. I just came out from Trinity, having just submitted my PhD, so I'm a little bit tired. Like, the experience in the Irish Times has been pretty good. Like, it's very interesting to get to see the insights of a big company, to see how it operates, and they have let us do pretty much whatever we wanted, talk to different people. So it has been great, very insightful. Yeah,
kind of a new storytelling navigation user experience. And that's what we came up with during the Digital Challenge. So this launched a couple of weeks back. It lets the reader easily see the topics here of an article, see its position in time, and also on the popularity scale, making it easy for him to pick the stories that are really of interest to him based on whatever metrics he is interested in. And the results of this improvement have been really amazing. So the number of clicks that we have is up to 500 daily now, just in the short period of time of 2 weeks or 3 weeks that we're running now, which amounts to about 1% click-through rate.
And a follow-up question, just to understand the way you make money, is it a share of advertising revenue that's clicked through into the downstream archive material? Is that how it works?
Basically, yeah. So it's not officially a share, so nobody's going to tell us how much CPM they're actually making, but it's an assumed kind of average. So if we assume that they're making 10 euros, so we take percentage. Yeah.
We allow businesses to transition from an offline print world into a rich, interactive, engaging mobile experience. And we do this with a very simple, flexible and cost-effective platform. An iFly is a disposable web page. It's built by a non-tech user. It can have any format. It could be a coupon or a competition. And advertising space in the Irish Times in general can come to life, can become interactive, and must become interactive going forward to keep the readers engaged. Irish Times different departments are using My iFly to do their own campaigns. My Home and the home delivery service are running campaigns at the moment using My iFly. Again, validation. Every department I spoke to say, we could use that. Revenue generation, I've already highlighted that this opportunity is a $20 billion opportunity, marketing opportunity in the US alone. If the Irish Times decided even for one day of the month to run a digital focus or an interactive page and sold interactive ads to only 20 advertisers, the incremental revenue alone for that would be 5,000, and that's only the start. Most of the experience I have directly with clients is actually sending it through a text message, and we're getting anything from a 5% to a 40% click-through rate of the smartphone market, and I was estimating the smartphone market roughly at 50% of my total audience. Now that will depend obviously on the brand and the audience, the highest we got was 40%.
And just to be clear then, that's a text that I receive which has a link in it, and I click the link and it goes to a My iFly hosted page.
Exactly, that we host.
Or a display ad.
Okay. And I have visibility on that.
Okay. So in the process of doing what you've done so far, in particular with the Irish Times, have you got a hit list of things you're missing that you need to put in?
Into the application?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, that's a good answer.
So the main benefit for us has been the insight we've gotten into how the Irish Times work and how we can integrate our software into their needs. Really, you don't get the kind of level of in-depth access, ordinarily speaking, without generating a relationship from scratch over a long time. So the Irish Times really short-circuited that process. And now with the exposure we've gotten from the Irish Times and that engagement, we're getting a lot of customers just approaching us off their own steam without us necessarily having to approach them. So it's great for just expanding our networks, expanding our contacts, and really pushing us out into the market.
I have a confession to make. The confession is very simple. I love working with data. It's such a nerdy thing today, but I've been doing it now for over a decade for customers all over the country, and it's about time I admit it. It's the front page of the business section that comes out with every issue of the paper, and at the top right-hand corner are 3 financial charts. These charts are very dear to me because they were created by GetBulb in seconds. Ordinarily, they take 15 minutes to do by hand and then check the data. And if you do a bit of data analysis here, 6 issues a week, 52 weeks in the year, that's 2 weeks of designer time in the course of a year that we can save the Irish Times from one page, one corner of one page of the paper. And there's a huge, huge value add here that I love. It's that the online version of the charts is available at exactly the same time the print version is. It's created using exactly the same process. There's no extra work involved. It has the Irish Times styling, font, layout, all in the same process. At the moment, your print readers can't even see these online charts, but now at GetBulb they can. That's what we do. We make creating visualizations of data easy. We drive reader engagement and we save you huge amounts of time. But for me, I get to continue my love affair with data.
Firstly, sometimes cost saving is a pretty hard sell, and your revenues are limited by how much cost you save, and you got to give most of that to the organisation. So do you see ways that you can move the value proposition to more of a rev gen value proposition?
Yes, definitely. The most exciting one that I'm looking forward to is that the Irish Times will be able to resell these graphics it creates using GetBull to a wider market of users. We're hoping to create a marketplace of visualizations that anybody can come along, and using that same interaction you saw earlier of copying and pasting, once the Irish Times designs a chart that they can resell, they can do that through the GetBull marketplace. Anybody else comes along, pastes the data in, and the Irish Times makes revenue that way.
This is a reasonably crowded marketplace. How do you differentiate from them? How do you stand out from the crowd?
Our very, very tight B2B focus. We work very closely with enterprise organizations. A lot of those other competitors are targeting social media sharing, like Facebook and tweets, as their only revenue model, and then they'll offer designs for new infographics using your data. But you don't get that interactive, exploratory way of looking at your data. You don't get the guarantee that you can take that chart and put it into PowerPoint or a printed report or an online blog without any friction.
In the end, it came down to the classic scenario of we got down to a couple and it was unbelievably tight. But the winner of the first Irish Times Digital Challenge is GetBulb. So data geeks can win.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm kind of overwhelmed here. I just wanted to thank everyone who supported me over the past during the Digital Challenge and before. You mentioned something about the resilience of entrepreneurs, and it's very true, but there's a silent army of supporters behind every entrepreneur, I think, friends, family, who you really have to acknowledge at times like this, because without them, you just wouldn't keep going. So thank you to each of you. I appreciate it.
So the winner is GetBulb. That's Oliver Mooney's company, and I think he's absolutely a deserving winner. GetBulb is potentially globally scalable. If you take a look at what it can do just for the Irish Times, it'll let us, if we use it this way, take what we're doing in print and put online graphics that readers normally don't see. But for other newspapers around the world, for any media organization in the world, GetBulb is a compelling prospect, because it means that they can finally present visual data in seconds rather than minutes or hours. Huge cost saver, massive potential impact on viewers and readers.
I feel thrilled and shocked and bemused and really excited that the whole game changer this kind of will mean to me and to the company. You know, it's just an incredible event I've gone through. This is probably, they say the first 50 grand is the hardest. That was definitely the hardest 50 grand I've ever earned, but well, the experience is so worth it, absolutely well worth it. It means that we can deliver. It means that we can make the product real. We're so close now. We're so nearly there to getting into the hands of customers. And this 50k is the difference between making it real in the hands of everybody we've met and convinced that it's a worthwhile proposition. We've had so much support from customers, and it's always been the case, can I buy this now? And now with the 50 grand, we'll be able to say, yes, you can buy this now. We've finished it. Here you are.
Well, the Irish Times is at a very exciting phase in its development. We're expanding in the sense of becoming a very significant multimedia company, using the platform of a newspaper, a quality newspaper. And the Digital Challenge is a very important part of that process, because we need to change, we need to have new ways of thinking, we need to develop new products while recognising our values and our trust and what our readers like and why they buy the Irish Times, why they consume us in irishtimes.com.
As a venture capital investor, we're always looking for interesting new startups. And where you tend to see really interesting startups is when a major market, such as the newspaper industry, is being heavily disrupted. That creates opportunities for startups. So we felt that this was an opportunity to really see some great startups get off the ground.
Well, I think GetBulb were a very worthy winner. They have a fantastic product. I think one of the things that appealed to us most was that not only was it of huge benefit to the Irish Times, but it really is a product that can scale internationally, and we can see media titles all over the world using it.